All right, good morning, everyone. First thing first, we don't have a lot of people on the call, so Frank just shared with me that he was using this strategy that we learned last week. Any feedback, Valerie? Did you or your team use this? Not getting your audio, so if you're listening to the recording, I just want to make sure you're using this. If there's a reason you're not using it, if it's somehow uncomfortable or doesn't work, then let me know. So your audio's off. So just tell me in the chat though, if you are using it, are you able to have you use this strategy? Tell me about your project. What are you working on? Is there any reason why you found that wouldn't work, any case or any scenario? All right, so this week, oh, you did several times this week. Okay, great. So this week we're going to ask, after we asked about the project, the next question is really, are you selling the house? If they're selling the home, then you should have some prepared answers. We have a product called the Dream Program where we will put the carpet in and they can pay for it after the house is sold. If you don't have any kind of program like that, you can simply say, we have stuff in stock. It's nice to be prepared if they are selling the home, that's saying, oh, we have some great solutions for you, whether it's vinyl, tile, carpet, we have in stock stuff, or whatever story you want to tell, but create that story. So if somebody is selling the home, what are you going to say? What are you going to say to them in a prepared way? It really helps the customer that you have a thought out plan or a thought out process. You have stuff you carry in stock that's going to help them sell the house faster for more money. You have stuff you can get quickly, or you have stuff that's inexpensive, but it looks good. So realize when somebody's selling the home, they don't want flooring. They want to sell the home. The flooring is just a means to the end, right? They need the flooring in order to be able to sell the house. So what you're doing in that case is you're helping them sell the home. Okay, so we're going to ask them if they're selling the home, or are you going to live there? Is this your home? And then usually if they say, no, we're not selling the home, this is for me. A lot of times I'll ask them, is the flooring for you, or are you selling the house? If they say they're going to live there, I ask them, how long do you plan on living there? Is this your forever home? Because the product, they asked a price question, or they asked something about product or availability, but this just helps me understand them more. I want to know how long they're going to plan on living there. Once I know that, what kind of action do you have going on? Do you have kids, pets, messy husband? And maybe they share this with you already, but if not, it just helps you understand what product's going to work best in their house. So how long do you plan on living in your home? Some people are only going to live in their house for 3 to 5 years, and then they're going to sell it or rent it. So when I'm selling them a product, this is a perfect product for you. Let's say carpet. This carpet will hold up really good for you for 3 to 5 years, and then you're not going to have to replace it. It's going to clean up really nice for you, but you're not going to spend a fortune on it. Now, if they're going to live there longer, or they got a busy household, well, I've got good product for you for that situation. So you're not selling them polyester or nylon. You're selling them carpet that's going to last for them in their situation, based on how long they're going to live in the home and what kind of action they have going on there. Now, again, obviously, let's go back. If they're selling the home, I don't care what kind of action they have going on. I don't care about their kids or pets or anything like that. I don't need to know that. All I need to know is that they're selling their house. So we're done asking questions. After that, we're going to get into solutions for them based on them selling the house. If they're going to live there longer, we want to know a little bit more. And then I always like to ask, what part of town are you in? I want to be prepared. And that's a good question if they're selling the house or not. Knowing what part of town they're in, you're going to be able to be prepared to set an appointment. Now, this is important. With you in your business, what is the next step that you want them to take? Ideally, what would you like them to do? You need to lead the dance here, not them. So she's on the phone. You asked her to tell her about your project. Now what? So do you want her to come into your showroom, or do you want to offer an in-home estimate? So what I found is it's best to recommend one thing. They'll say, how does this work or something like that. So, well, you're in Mesa. We're in Arizona. So Mesa is a town in Arizona here. So you're in Mesa. You said what part of town you're in. I can be out there Tuesday at 3:00. Will that work good for you? If I know what part of town they're in, I can try and set up the appointment. So that really helps me in scheduling them. So what you don't want to do, again, only offer one solution. We want to push the free in-home estimates. So we offer the in-home estimates. We don't tell them. We used to do this. We used to say, so we can either come out and do a free in-home estimate, or you can come into the showroom. And a lot of times they'd say, well, all right, we'll come into the showroom, or I'll call you back. If they said they're coming into the showroom, they may never get here. They may stop somewhere else along the way. So we're pushing the free in-home estimate. Now, if they say, well, I'd rather come out to the showroom, well, then I'll give them that option. But the first option I'm going to give them is to come out and do the in-home estimate. So be prepared to offer the in-home estimate. Now, if you have a business where you really want them to come into your showroom first, that's the process you're going to follow. We'll get into that in a little bit. So this is based on the in-home estimate. Don't ever say what time works for you. They are going to choose a time that you're not available. So if you say that, what you want to do is say, do mornings work better for you or afternoons? So you're giving them a choice. And they may just tell you what time works best for them. But if they'll tell you afternoons, great, I can be there tomorrow at 3:00. You don't want to ask them what time. Give them a time that's going to work for you guys and within your schedule. So we want them to go at our schedule. Now, again, if they kick back and they want a different time, you can accommodate that. But don't just leave it open. Make it easy for them to answer this question. What time works good for you? Great, I can be there at 3:00 tomorrow. You're going to want to set a time, and everybody setting appointments should do that way. This is another thing I found, a big mistake that a lot of people make is they ask questions that are very frustrating to customers to answer. And what makes it frustrating is customers don't know the answers. So I've heard the salespeople in here say, well, what kind of color do you like? Or with the carpet, what are you looking for? Do you want like a pattern or plush? Do you know what kind of carpet they have no clue. Most of them, the vast majority, have no clue. So what you want to ask them this question every time. Do you know what you want, or would you like me to bring a selection for you to look at? Most of them just want you to bring a good selection. Okay, you know that they're going to live in the home. They're going to be there 3 to 5 years. You know what kind of selection they're looking for. All these carpet samples have your beiges and your grays. So you just bring a good selection out. They don't need a huge selection to choose from. So giving them more to choose from doesn't help them out. Making it easy for them is going to help them out. Now, if they know what they're looking for, they're going to tell you exactly what they're looking for. So you don't need to get into these details. Does that make sense to everyone? So to say it that way, do you know what you want? You know, we've even talked about this when it comes to a budget, which I don't like asking people what their budget is, because if you ask them, what's your budget? They don't know what their budget is. They don't have a budget. So that's frustrating. If you do want to ask them a budget question, I would ask them, do you know what your budget is? You know, or do you have a budget for this project? Most of them will say no. All right, great. Let me go through the process with you and give you an idea of what you're looking at. So after you're doing that, tell them what to expect next. Okay, great. We're going to come out. I'm going to send you an email confirmation. And again, what I want you guys to do, this is our process here. We're going to send you an email confirmation. I'll call you on my way out there, or I'll call you to confirm the appointment, or I'll send you a text. A lot of people will send a text, you know, so that texting works good right now. So I'll send you a text on my way out there. Just tell them what to expect is going to happen next. And then I'll bring out some samples and I'll give you an estimate in the home. So this is the process for scheduling an in-home estimate. Let's go through the process. If those of you that would rather they come into the showroom and select first, I've talked to a lot of people that would rather their customers go through that process. I personally recommend that you set up an in-home estimate and do free in-home estimates. If you don't like that system, this is another good way. So they're on the phone with you and you're going to tell them what happens next. So what we like our customers to do is come in and select a few samples that you like. Also, if you would, this would help us out. If you would like create a diagram of the flooring you're going to do, and then maybe get any measurements you can, and I can give you an idea of what prices that you're looking at. You can ask them to take photos of their room, you know, and then if that works, you know, if you take some photos and measurements and all that, I can give you an idea of what you're looking at. And then we can come out, if that works for you, we'll come out and measure and get your project going. So you can tell them exactly what your process is, not policy. Give them a process. A process is created for the benefit of a customer. A policy is created to protect you from customers. That's why don't ever create policies. Always create a process and think of it from a customer's point of view. Whenever anybody says our policy is this, they're protecting themselves from a customer and it sets up a wall. But if you say our process is this, that's going to create benefit for both you and the customer. So what about some of you guys want to charge for an in-home estimate? I've talked to a lot of people that are one-man bands and, you know, they can't afford to go out and do free in-home estimates. That's fine. Here's our process. What we like is for our customers to come in, select a few samples you like, also create a diagram of the flooring you're going to do. If you can get any measurements, I can give you an idea of the price in the showroom. Or we do a guaranteed accurate in-home estimate for just $79, and that'll get credited towards your purchase. So in this case, you are giving them a choice, but letting them understand that we don't just do an in-home estimate. We will do a in-home estimate, but that's $79. For the people that come into the showroom, they don't pay the $79 because we can at least give you an idea of what the price is going to be. So, and if you know you're going to go with us, then yeah, we're going to come out, measure, get the scope of work. So any way you do it, just as long as you clearly explain the process to them, you know, and behind me, I've got my whiteboard there. Write your process out on the whiteboard and just make it clear. Your process should be so simple to understand that every person in your company, from the bookkeeper to the warehouse guy, anybody who's going to answer that phone can explain that process to a customer. All the stuff I'm teaching you, everybody can do. You know, if everybody's out of the office, everybody's busy, and the only person there is the warehouse guy, then he can answer the phone and go through this exact process and set up an appointment for one of your salespeople. So you don't need, none of this that I'm going over requires a professional salesperson, you know, or a knowledgeable salesperson about flooring. You know, if you have a guy that does the sales, then you can set up appointment for that salesperson. You got his calendar, set the appointment. You don't need to stall that process and wait for him to get time to talk to your customer. Okay. Some people, I don't think I have this in here. So some people have a process where they send out a measuring guy to do it. I'm not a big fan of that, but again, if I have that process, first of all, I would always charge for that. And then, but I would explain that process, and I would do it in a sexy way, as you know. So we're going to send Tim out. He does all of our measuring for us. And the nice thing about our process is Tim is an expert in flooring, so he'll make sure that he gets all the details that are required. What I really don't like about that process is the salesperson is trying to do all the selling from the showroom. And part of our job, in my mind, is decorating and helping them select product and select color. But if I had such a process, I would create something that was really clear, easy to understand, and showed the benefits to that customer. And again, you guys got to work on these processes in a way that everybody in the company understands it. We're going to go over this all again next week. So I want to make sure you guys get this down, that you're using it, that you're comfortable with it, and we can answer any hangups that you might have over this process. And that's what the sales training is all about, is, you know, us repeating some things. So we make sure that you're actually doing, look, I've got salespeople in here, I've been training them for years. And I always ask them the question, okay, somebody calls us up and asks you the price. What do you say next? Tell me about your project. What are you working on? So that's what they better say. But, you know, even with my training and me being around here, they gravitate away from that once in a while and fall back into doing their own thing. And you want people to be successful. So having them go through these processes is going to help them become more successful. And you can see a lot of what I do is geared towards the customer experience. So we want to really understand our customers and what they want more than telling them everything about us. You know, everything we're doing is not really about us, it's about them. So again, we only got a few people on the call. A lot of people are listening to the recording now, but for those of you guys on the call, and if you guys listen to the recording and you got a question, I'll probably share it with our whole group so everybody can get that kind of feedback. So make sure you ask me questions. But for those of you on the call, does this all make sense? And do you have any questions about this part of that process?
Jerry, I think it makes sense. It's most of the sales, in my experience, is just, you know, common sense and logic. A lot of what you say is just makes sense. So yeah.
So, and who was it that brought you to the call, Frank? Who was it again that signed you up?
It was the owner of our company, Steve D'Angelo.
And do you have other salespeople?
Yeah, we have three other. Well, there's three of us total.
So are you responsible to them for teaching them this stuff?
Probably not. I'm the new guy.
Okay. I mean, this stuff would be interesting to go over with them, because what you said about it being common sense. And one thing I learned as an owner and leading a leader is common sense isn't that common. So, and we learn this stuff over years and we take it for granted that, well, I'm not that smart of a guy, so they must know what I know. So you'd be surprised that it really isn't common sense. I mean, I've got seasoned veterans that still ask a customer, you know, what color are you looking for? Or what time are you available? And it's like, I just cringe because everybody who is a seasoned veteran and it has been sailing should know better to ask a customer, you know, are you available at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock? You give them a choice. You know, you never just leave it open-ended like that. So I've learned not to take it for granted that common sense is common knowledge. So now you're responsible for teaching everybody in the company as the new guy. And honestly, the way to do that, Frank, you know, you might not feel like it's your place. So the best way to do that is asking them a question. So in a sales meeting or when you guys all get together, hey, let me ask you guys a question. If somebody calls up and they say, what do we charge for this? How would you respond? You know, and then share, can I share something with you I just learned? So ask their permission to share something with you that you learned, because if you just launch into it, then they're going to get defensive. It's another thing I learned is how to teach people. You got to ask their permission to teach them. So, you know, go ahead and ask their permission, and then you guys can go over it. And that'll make for an interesting meeting too for you guys.
That's a good point. Thanks.
Okay, so that's it for today. If you guys that are on the call, do you guys have anything that jammed you up over the week that you'd like to address now? So, and just as a reminder to everybody that's joined sales training, you guys can reach out to me at any time that you get jammed up and say, hey, I just had this happen. How should I have handled that better? Or what do you think? You know, so anytime you run across a customer that gives you a challenge that you're not prepared for, you know, it's all a learning experience. So just reach out to me and let's discuss it, because again, anything you guys are running into, other people are as well. So it's going to benefit the whole group here. All right, guys. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you all again next week. The recording will be ready in about an hour or so.